Hello all, please subscribe my YouTube channel. I am Sawan Wani. We have posted many lectures related to engineering and we are currently working on the concept of power plant instrumentation. So we have posted the previous lectures related to the power plant design, how the power plant is working, how are the elements specified, what are the various costs involved in power plant design, how to measure the impurities in water and steam, how to control or how to measure the level in the boiler drum, etc. So today's topic we are going to learn is in based on the power plant instrumentation is measurement of air fuel circuit. So basically first we will see what is the meaning of this air fuel circuit. Nowadays we know that the power plant are designed confirming the demand and the future scope. So basically when this power plant is designed for the forecasting of the demands, so based on that the particular air and fuel circuits are being maintained which measure the various types of flows and quantities for particular fuels. So this air and fuel circuit is consisting of various types of measurements of types of the fuels. So one by one now we will see how the measurements are done in air fuel circuit. So it may be related to a solid liquid fuel also, or a solid liquid and gaseous state fuel. And therefore if a particular flow rate will be there, then that flow rate will be measured for oil, that is which is liquid, or any type of gas. Now and if etc coal is there, then instead of measuring the flow of the coal, we are going to measure the actual weight of the coal. So therefore we will see one by one quantities how the measurement in air fuel circuit is done. So the following measurements are needed in air fuel circuit. So the first is measurement of flow, that is, or quantity. So first one in that is solid fuel flow, that is coal; liquid fuel flow, that is oil; fuel gas flow; and combustion air flow. So under the category of measurement of flow and quantity, we are getting these four types of the fuel flows. Then coming to the next slide, measurement in air fuel circuit, these are the following measurements again. So the second category is measurement of pressures, so where the kind of pressure measurement is necessary. So first is fuel oil pressure, then atomized steam pressure, fuel gas pressure, combustion air pressure, flue gas pressures, waste gas pressures, and furnace draft. So when we are going to measure the pressure in any air fuel circuit, these all seven parameters will help us to find the pressure at each and every point, because the measurement of pressure in previous lectures we have seen that how the measurement of pressure plays a very important role in the output of the power plant. So therefore these types of also pressures are measurement of pressures at these particular points are important. Then third one is measurement of temperatures, so where the temperature measurement in air fuel circuit is necessary. Fuel oil temperature, atomized steam temperature, combustion air temperature, primary and secondary air temperature, flue gas temperature, waste gas temperature, and flame temperature. So in this air fuel circuit, again these seven parameters will help us to find the temperature of the systems. Then fourth is measurement of levels. Now when after we have completed these measurements, then we come up to the measurements of level. So measurement of level in coal bunkers or a hopper level, then oil tank level, and gas holder level. So the way in which the levels are measured based on solid, liquid, and gaseous state. So fourth one is the measurement of levels. So first one, so now we are going to see one by one how these particular quantities are measured or the flows are measured. So first we are taking measurement in flow oblique quantity for coal. So how the quantity of coal is to be measured? See, measurement of coal which is fed to boiler as a fuel has to be done for calculation of boiler efficiency. So basically, for calculating the boiler efficiency, we have to take into consideration that what parameters are there at input for the boiler. So this coal is acting as the input fuel for the boiler. So therefore, this measurement of coal is important. So there are three methods to measure the coal quantity. So first is indirect measurement from bunker level. Second is measurement using load cells, and third is measurement by belt weighing. So these three procedures are there for measurement of the coal. So directly from the bunker level, it can be taken in a bulk quantity, or secondly, it can be measured using load cells when they are placed in hoppers, or either they are if they are placed on the belt conveyors, then the measurement will be taken. So in that first one, indirect measurement from bunker level. So we will see this in detail. Coal is delivered to the power plant by means of truck or rail wagons. Now see, the power plant is at a particular remote location. So the requirement of the coal, that is the quantity of coal requirement, is also big. So this big quantity of the coal will be delivered by means of either truck, depending upon the capacity requirement, or with the help of rail wagons. The user must have sufficient storage space, because when this coal will be delivered with the help of these large transferring means, so at the power plant system there should be a requirement of a sufficient storage space. The coal is then transferred to coal bunkers. These bunkers are located at an elevation that allows the coal to feed to the boiler system by gravity. The coal, as we have seen in this point, that the coal is, after storing it in a particular space, it is transferred to coal bunkers. These bunkers are located at an elevation, means at a height more than the ground level, and this allows the boiler to feed to the coal to be fed to the boiler system with the help of gravity. So these coals are taken at a higher rate, that is the higher height, and then with the help of gravity they are transferred to the boiler system. So by recording the bunker levels at regular intervals and converting the level difference into volume, one may be able to get the average volume flow rate. So after recording the bunker levels, means you can easily record at the regular intervals that how much coal is flowing from the bunker to the boiler system. So this average volume flow rate we can find out. Totaling can be done at the end of the day's operation, and average flow rate for the day can be found out. So we can find out the total average flow with the help of the readings taken at the regular intervals. Though such measurements cannot be used for continuous control purposes, the information is used for boiler efficiency calculation. So this type of indirect measurement can be sometimes prove not appropriate. So therefore, but this is the method of measuring a coal from the bunker level. Second is measurement using load cells. The coal can be fed to hoppers fitted with load cells and then fed to the boiler system. So as we have seen in earlier part, that the coal will be taken up from the storage space and will be fed to the hoppers, and these hoppers will be there at the top end, which will be connected to the load cells. So these load cells will easily measure that how much is the weight or the of the particular coal, or what is the quantity of the coal. So the hopper will be filled, the weight measurement is taken, and then emptied to the feeding conveyor. So it is just an easy method of measuring the coal with the help of load cells. After hoppers, the actual hopper will when the weight measurement will be completed, this hopper will be emptied to the feeding conveyor. This cycle can be continuously done, and the weight measured is divided by the cycle time to the average feed rate. So this is the way in which we are to calculate the efficiency of this system. So the weight measured is divided by the cycle time to get the average feed rate, means how much coal is transferring per time is the average feed rate. This way of measuring is more accurate compared to the one by measuring the bunker level. So this as compared to the initial system, that is indirect measurement, we are having this particular type of load cell measurement as appropriate. Then third one is measurement by belt weighing. The flow rate of coal can be measured when it is fed to the boiler system via belt conveyor. So with the help of belt conveyor also we can measure the particular weight. We can apply certain load cell for the at the bottom side of the load of the belt conveyor, and then this load cell will give us the reading for the measurement of the weight of the coal. Load cell arrangement can be used to measure the weight of the coal in the belt between two rollers which are designed to float for making the measurement possible. The conveyor speed can be measured and used for calculating the flow rate. So we can easily calculate the flow rate of the coal by achieving the conveyor speed or by measuring the conveyor speed. The feed rate of all belt weighing feeders is a function of belt speed and the belt load. Then going for the second, that is our B part, which is liquid flow measurement. In the first part, that is measurement in flow and quantity. Furnace oil or tar oil is used as fuel in the boilers. So oil flow rate can be measured by following means. So these are the various types of meters which are going to give us the flow of the oil from one system to another as a fuel to the boilers. So positive displacement type meters, then rotameters are used, then electromagnetic flow meters are used, variable head type flow meters are used, oval gear meters are used, and turbine flow meters are used for the liquid flow measurement. So here flow measurements in gas lines and combustion air lines are done mainly for combustion control purposes. Gas flow measurements are also used for totalizing before using them for accounting purposes. So while we are going to measure the liquid flow, in the liquid we are having the flow measurement in gas lines also, and also we have to measure the combustion or the flow in the combustion air lines. So therefore these gas measurements are used for totalizing before using them for accounting purposes, as gas as well as compressible fluids and their density vary with temperature and pressure. So see that these gas and the compressible fluids are used generally in the boiler feeding purpose. So basically as all these are real fluids, they will have their variation in density as the temperature and pressure is varying. So they are measured with reference to either normal temperature and pressure or standard pressure and temperature. So STP and NTP, so they are measured with another any reference taken for normal or the standard temperature and pressure rates. Then variable head type flow meters with different sensors like orifice plate, venturi tube, flow nozzle, etc. are used for measuring gas and air flow rates in the thermal power plants. The installation specifications are same for both gas and air flow measurements. Only flow ranges and location of the sensor may differ according to the design. So this is something about the variable head type flow meters. We have already seen this. So we are going to go for the next slide. Measurement of pressures, steam and oil pressure. Fuel oil pressure and atomized steam pressure are measured using Bourdon gauges for local indications. So while we were seeing the pressure measurement for water and steam, similarly for the measurement of the pressures for the steam and oil also, we are using Bourdon tube pressure gauges. For transmission purposes, electronic transmitters are used. The range of pressure measurement may be from 0 to 20 kg per centimeter square. This is just a range for the appliement of the pressure of the steam and oil in a power plant. While measuring oil pressure, the oil may get solidified in the pressure signal pipelines unless the temperature is maintained. So see that there are certain oils which are having their internal chemical formation for solidifying at a certain temperature. So therefore, if the temperature is not maintained at that required point, then there are chances that the oil may solidify and we will get inaccurate results. So the temperature maintenance is more requirement or is of the importance in the while measuring oil pressure. Then fuel gas and combustion air pressure. Fuel gas and combustion air pressures are in the order of 0 to 2000 mm. per grams. Hence, either a membrane type or capsule type sensors are used, both for local indication and for transmission. So the pressure ranges for fuel gas and combustion air pressures are of the variable range. So these variable ranges are contributing for measuring the fuel gas and combustion air pressures. The following are the sensing points: fuel gas main line pressure. Second is pressure before and after pressure control valve. Then third is pressure before and after air preheater. And fourth is pressure just before the burner. Majorly the sensing points in fuel gases are mentioned here because these pressures will be actually the pressure gauges will be mounted at that particular point, and they will be measured for the maintenance of the maintenance and the accuracy of the results from all the points. Then flue gas and waste gas pressures. The pressure of the flue gas may vary from about 50 to about 100 mm of the while traveling from combustion chamber to economizer to air preheater and to atmosphere. So around 50 to 100 mm per grams is the particular pressure value of the flue gas, and basically during its transfer from combustion chamber to economizer, then to air preheater, and then to atmosphere, there is a large variation of the pressures. The positive pressure is due to combustion air pressure and gas pressure at entry point, and negative pressure is due to the induced draft fan and chimney to make flue gas flow possible. Though basically there are two types of pressures. We know that at atmospheric pressure or the gauge pressure and the vacuum pressure. So these gauge pressure is due to the combustion air pressure and gas pressure at entry point, while the vacuum pressure is induced due to the draft fan and the chimney, which is making the flue gas flow possible, because some amount of vacuum pressure is needed in order to make the flow possible from the chimneys. The possible locations of these pressures are the combustion chamber pressure, then pressure before and after economizer, air preheater, and before chimney. Then the measurement of pressure of furnace draft. Basically, the air and fuel flow into the furnace and flow gas flows out. The force driving this flow is the differential pressure between the gases inside the furnace and those outside the furnace. So see that basically air and fuel flow into the furnace and flue gas flows out. So this is nothing but about the furnace, how to measure the pressure inside the furnace. So it is known as a furnace draft. So the force created by the air and fuel flow, it forces the flue gases to come outside. So therefore it is known as the differential pressure, because there is a completely different pressure inside the furnace and outside the furnace. Furnace pressure is commonly referred to as draft or draft pressure. The draft is maintained slightly negative to prevent the combustion products and ash from being discharged from the furnace into surrounding areas through inspection ports, doors, feeders, etc. So basically see that this draft which we are speaking about is just about kept at vacuum stage to prevent any combustion products and ash from being discharged from the furnace. Because if as the combustion products and ash will have a very lower weight, so if the pressure will not be maintained inside the furnace, that is this slightly negative pressure, that is the vacuum pressure which we are speaking. So therefore what will happen is this combustion products and ash will go outside the furnace without being completely burned. So therefore some negative pressure is to be kept inside, and therefore discharged from the furnace into surrounding areas through inspection ports, doors, feeders, etc. Then coming to the third point of measurement of temperatures. The temperatures of operation in the air fuel circuit vary almost from room temperature to about 1200 degrees Celsius, because we have seen that in the operation of the boiler in any power plant system, the temperatures continuously vary from one point to another. So combustion air temperature at the inlet of air preheater may be around room temperature. So at the entry of the air in the air preheater, because we are providing the air after preheating it, and then we are providing it for the combustion in any stage. So therefore that temperature of the air before at the inlet of preheater is around room temperature. Then the highest flue gas temperature at the heat transfer to superheater is around 1200 degrees Celsius. Fuel oil temperature, combustion air temperatures at various point, flue gas temperatures after economizer and before air preheater, waste gas temperature can be measured with the resistance temperature detector. So we properly directly speak it as RTDs. Then atomized steam temperature can either be measured with RTD or thermocouple. So basically thermocouple will give us the highest range of the measurement of temperature, but still in some cases we will take RTD as a temperature measuring instrument, and in some cases we are going to see or take the help of thermocouple. Flue gas temperatures from combustion chamber to input of economizer are measured using nickel chrome thermocouples. Liquid in glass thermometers and vapor pressure thermometers are normally used wherever local indications are sought for. So see that in these 2 points which we have seen now, that thermocouples can be used, that is nickel chrome thermocouples can be used where the highest temperatures are there, but normally when we are having some lower temperatures, that is the temperature of around 40 degrees Celsius to around 120-130 degrees Celsius, so this liquid in glass thermometer, this means the ordinary thermometers or vapor pressure thermometers are easily used for the local indications. Then when we are having, or suppose a high temperature is to be measured of around more than 2000 degrees Celsius, etc., then these pyrometers are used. So I would like to tell you here is that these pyrometers are nothing but contactless temperature measuring instruments. There are two types of pyrometers, that is radiation pyrometer or infrared pyrometers, that is an optical pyrometer. So radiation pyrometers and infrared pyrometers with cooling arrangements for electronic circuits are employed for measuring flame temperatures. So I would like to elaborate more here on the pyrometers. Remember this, that pyrometers are as we have explained, that they are contactless temperature measurement systems. So the thing is that there is a temperature band. Suppose there are various flame temperatures color scales, like for the flame we are having a yellow color, orange color, red color, etc. So certain temperature ranges are there which give us the certain value of colors for that particular temperature. Means I will give you one example, that if the flame is of yellow color, then the temperature may be of 200 degrees Celsius. If the scale of the flame's color is around some yellow, some orange, then the temperature may be around 500 degrees Celsius, like this. So what does these pyrometers do is they manage, or they just measure the color of the flame, and in the pyrometer there is a various color cell which the particular bandwidth is actually compared, and with the help of this bandwidth and and comparing the wavelength of this flame, the pyrometers give us the accurate reading of the measurement of the particular flame. So basically we have to first concentrate the particular lens on that particular flame, and then we can get the actual reading. The next is measurement of level. Level measurements in air fuel circuit are necessary mainly at the following three equipments. So these are the three equipments in which the level measurement is required. Coal bunker or hopper to know the coal quantity available at any point of time. Then oil tank to know the position of oil fuel available. Gas holder to know the availability of gaseous fuel. Because see, if the level measurement is not done, then there are chances that the fuel may get exhausted at some stage, and therefore due to proper planning, the level of the fuel is to be maintained for the proper operation of the plant. So first we will see how the measurement of level is done at coal bunkers or hopper level. The measurement probes may be of side mounted or lobe mounted types. The types of instruments used are mentioned below. without elaborating their operations. We are just taking a look at the level measurement. So first is the radiation type instruments, single source and multiple source ones. Second is ultrasonic level transmitters. They are used both for continuous measurement as well as level switches. Third is microwave level transmitters. Fourth is optical level devices. Fifth, radar level transmitters, then laser level devices and level switches. All these type of instruments are going to measure the coal bunkers or the hopper level, so that the maintenance of the level of the solid fuel, which is coal in the power plant system, is maintained. Then second is oil tank level. From the oil refinery, the fuel oil is delivered to the storage tank. From the storage tanks, the oil may be taken directly to the fuel preparation unit, or it may be transferred to a smaller tank called a day tank. So see, if when the oil is coming from the refineries, first initially it is stored in the large storage tank having a larger capacity. Then from the storage tanks, the oil is directly taken to the fuel preparation unit, where its all composition is measured. Even if we have to add some chemicals in the fuel, that is done, and then it is being transferred to a small tank, which is a day tank. Then fuel oil pumps are used to pump the oil from the day tank to the burners. So now after the chemicalized fuel is there in the day tank, then with the help of fuel oil pumps, the oil is taken from the tank to the burners. It is very important to know the oil level either in the storage tank or in the day tank for day-to-day operations of the thermal power plant. So see, now in this case, the measurement of level of oil tank level is required at both stages. First is when the oil from the oil refinery, when the oil is coming to the storage tank. So there also we have to see whether the level measurement or the level of the oil is there or no. Then second is we have to see that what is the level in the day tank of the oil, because this day tank is going to supply the oil to the particular actual systems. So therefore, first we have to see if the storage tank is filled, then we have to see the day tank. Then, assuming the oil is in liquid state, the level can be observed using the side gauge glass. See that in one lecture, you can refer of the measurement or the level recorders. In initial stages, I have posted one lecture related to power plant instrumentation level recorders. So in that, in the first slide only, I have mentioned the boiler drum level measurement, and in that we have taken two steps, that side gauge measurement or CCTV measurement. So we can use this side gauge glass in order to observe the level of oil, whether it is at remote location or whether it is at a particular local indication. Pressure measured at the bottom of the tank can be converted into level knowing the density. Then last one is the gas holder level. The gas holder is intermediate equipment between the gas sources and the consuming unit. The gas fuel may be the refinery gas or the byproduct gases or the natural gas. So the type of the gas may be different, but majorly the level measurement is to be done, and therefore the gas holder is acting as an intermediate equipment between gas sources and consuming unit. The thermal power station operators expect this fuel to be supplied in a pipeline at constant pressure so that the combustion control can be exercised comfortably in the boiler. So as compared to coal and oil, the pressure is to be maintained in the gas pipeline while we are supplying the gas to the system, and at the same time the level of the gas also is to be maintained, that is the quantity of the gas is to be maintained in order to see that the constant gas supply is there at the particular required constant pressure. So for this purpose, the gas from any source is first supplied to a gas holder whose drum and disc is designed for the desired pressure. So the first thing is the gas from any source is first supplied to the gas holder. So what does this gas holder do is it acts as a intermediate equipment between the two sources. That is, first source is from where the gas is coming, and second source is where the gas is being consumed. So the gas holder is placed in between these two equipments. When more and more gas is pumped into the gas holder, the pressure will rise and hence the drum disc will get lifted accordingly. So see that when the requirement of the gas is more, then the gas will be taken up at a larger quantity from the gas holder, because as just now we have explained that gas holder is placed in between the supply system and the consumable system. So when the consumable system is requiring more and more gas, so therefore large amount of gas can be pumped from this gas holder, and this gas holder will be having a drum or either a disc, and therefore due to the large requirement of the pumping of the gas up to the consumable system, this drum or disc will be lifted. So the position of the drum can be taken as the gas level in the holder. So this is the point where the level measurement is done according to the position of the drum or the disc which is been lifted. The position can be measured by a chain and counterweight arrangement connected to a large dial for local indication. So one arrangement of the gas level is done here. According to this theory point which we have seen, the upper point you can see here, this is the minimum level of the gas. This is the transmitter which is known as the pulley system, and this is the counterweight. So what happens is there are two again points available here, that is inlet gas and outlet gas, and this is the maximum level in the particular drum or disc, and then in the container, and this is the drum disc or also known as a float. So when this gas is taken up from the outlet system, then what will happen is this drum disc will start to go in upward direction, and it will go at a particular minimum level because the gas has been consumed. So as the gas gets consumed, this counterweight goes in the downward direction, and this gas is going in the upward direction. So therefore it is having a pointer, so this pointer will give us the measurement of the level of the gas inside, and therefore to maintain a constant level, again as compared to output, the inlet gas will also be sent. So the simplified arrangement is shown in the figure. For local indication, a vertical dial and a pointer fixed to counterweight is provided. The dial reading will be in the reverse direction. When the gas holder is full, the pointer is in the bottom of the scale and vice versa. So as we have explained, if the gas level is full inside, then this drum will go in the upward direction, and this pointer will go in the downward direction. So it will be at the bottom of the scale. For remote transmission, the shaft of the pulley is connected to a transmitter which can convert the rotary motion into a standard electrical signal. So here see that the shaft of the pulley here which is there, this is the center point which is connected to the transmitter, because the actual flow of the drum and disc will be with the help of this string and the pulley to the counterweight. So therefore this pulley is connected to the transmitter which can convert the rotary motion into standard electrical signal, and we can get the amount of the level measurement, or we can directly connect the inlet pipeline so that how much outlet gas is going, the inlet gas will be inputted. A small gearbox and a rotary transmitter will do the function. Synchros can be used instead of electronic transmitters in small power stations. So basically, while measurement of gas, as gas is the most flowable state in the matter, so therefore it will have more prone to the temperatures and pressure. So mostly while measuring the level of the gas, certain care is to be taken for the enclosed seal of the particular container in which the gas flow measurement is to be done. That is, the gas level measurement is to be done. So this was all about the measurement of the various types of levels or flow in air fuel circuit. Hope you have enjoyed this lecture. We have posted this lecture on the terms of the power plant instrumentation, as we are up to the completion of the power plant instrumentation concepts. Still maybe 2 or 3 lectures will be remaining on the power plant instrumentation. The other remaining parts such as smoke density measurement, then dust monitors, etc., are to be taken into consideration. So we are going to post that particular points also. Again, we are going to request you that subscribe to my YouTube channel. For achieving the various extra videos. Also, if you have any suggestions regarding the improvement in our channel, also you can suggest, you can comment in the comment section of the video. Also, at the same time, the graphics of the particular video, the audio levels, the quality of the video, etc. You can comment anything regarding this video, or any doubts related to the various types of concepts up till now which we have explained. We can You can directly post me for any type of the doubt related to the power plant instrumentation videos which we have created. Thank you.